Welcome, folks, to the September Lean Coffee Connect. Yes, Vishali, can you repeat the question again so that the other folks who join now can help you also?
Yeah, sure. Sorry. My question was the I mean, it's like I'm facing challenge to get the job opportunity or interview call, and I'm out of job right now. So I'm having it's like 17 years of experience in current market situation. I'm seeing most of the requirements are for maximum 10 or 12 years, maximum 12 years of experience people. So, and if this situation is because of AI or something, say, how can we find out the job, and like how can we survive in today's world?
Mhm, mhm. Thanks for that question. Anyone wants to take it up?
In this competitive market, it's all about being relevant. And these days, many organizations are uh, putting aside experience and trying to see how relevant you are to the current situation. So, irrespective of your number of experience, if you could, showcase value, as in what is the value you're bringing onto the table, how relevant are you to the current situation in terms of how technology is evolving, how every role is evolving. Earlier we used to have specific roles for specific tasks. Maybe recently I heard an example, like let's say back in the 90s, when there was a bus that is being run by RTC, you used to have three folks. You used to have a driver, a conductor, and a cleaner as well. Later on in 2000s, it's moved on to a conductor and a driver, and right now it's only a driver who's taking care of all the three jobs. So similar fashion, even in IT industry, rules have been evolving as such. And right now, many people are expecting, let's say if you take Scrum Master, they want Scrum Master to take role of every possible scenario within the organization. Also, there are many organizations who do that. Even let's say someone says a product owner needs to be a Scrum Master and vice versa, and everything. So it's all about being relevant and trying to showcase value and trying to uh, fit into the culture as well. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, I agreed with that. But if I have a management skill, I have a Scrum Master, I have a product owner experience as well. But I'm not getting call itself because I approached few HRs as well. They are saying your resume is getting filtered out because of your number of years of experience. So it matters a lot.
There are always two solutions for every problem. I mean, one is trying hard or else learning new technologies. As you said, right, 17 years of experience are being replaced with 10 or 8 years of experience at people. Even the same is happening when we are going for hiring new developers, right? 8 years or 9 years experienced guy is replacing with a 3 or 4 years experienced developers, because in market we will get them for much cheaper. At the same time, they are having more knowledge as well. Now, for example, if you see 8 years or 9 years experienced guy, he will be able to only work on Java. But now 3 to 4 years experienced guys, so they are like full stack Java. They will be able to work on UI. They will be able to work on everything. There is nothing that they will not work. And the other solution, what I can tell you is this is not a very approachable solution. But I see few of the people, they cut down 4 or 5 years of experience at the beginning stage of their career, and they will showcase only 12 years or 13 years of experience to get into the IT industry.
Yeah, I heard about this, but nowadays organizations are asking PF statements as well. So PF statement shows all the past history of your payment details, right? So it is hard to cut down the experience as well.
Yeah, you can mention at that point of time the organization is no more and we don't have any experience letters, or we don't have any proof to showcase that experience, the very first experience. So maybe, yeah, it could be a challenging thing, but what you can do is yeah, as I said, right, this is not a approachable solution. You
Mm-hmm.
have to prepare a resume for 12 years of experience and take a different sim, different email ID, everything different, and you have to try it out on your own for 12 years experience.
So
Okay.
I have a different approach. What Sai mentioned just now, Rushali. No, in the resume, like as you mentioned that the HRs are telling you that your resume is getting filtered because of that 17 years of experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
One way is like mention only the relevant years of experience in the resume. Let's suppose you have 5 years of project management experience, right? So you can mention 5 years of relevant experience. Make sure you mention the word relevant experience of project management, right? In the below sections, you can mention the overall 17 years of experience, but in the summary line where you mention the overall 17 years of experience, right? Instead of that, mention maybe 5 to 8 years or whatever it is, right? The relevant years of experience.
Yeah, I did the same in Pune based like product based company. There was a requirement for 5+ years of experience in for the Scrum Master. That was a very good company. Couple of times opportunities came up in that organization, and I have done the same. But in our resume, we need to add all the history of our previous means organization details, and also they have a organizations are having a tool where they need to fill all the details, so while
Yes.
filling the details, we get catched there, like
Good.
we are having this much of experience. Yeah. Means
I mean, if it
even
is a
though,
resume perspective, yes, we can.
yeah, I feel like without reference for this many years of experience, it's very hard to get job in today's market, even though we have good skill set, good management skills, and means, but yeah, I don't know, means like market is not looking for the quality work nowadays. They are just like ready to pay less and get done more.
Roshali, don't be
And
disheartened. A lot of people get job, they're still getting a job. Keep trying, and
Uh-huh.
like everyone else said, these are your years, these are your experience. Just for somebody else's sake or just being, desperate, don't undo the thing that you've done. It should matter the most to you than anyone else. And you should take pride in saying that you've seen both the worlds. You've seen historic world, you've seen agile, you've seen waterfall. So you are actually best placed to really take that transition through.
Yeah.
So work on your stuff as to, you can look at couple of things. You're already good in your management, like you mentioned. Work on design thinking, or maybe you can, whatever time you're getting, take it as an opportunity. Be
Mm-hmm.
open, try to learn things while you're applying. This is very, very pertinent point what Satish mentioned, right? The relevant experience. So
Mm-hmm.
okay, these companies might not take it, and it's not always your fault completely. We're seeing market is inundated with false jobs, false alarms. These people just create it. So even if you're too good, they might not be able to give you the job. So it's not your fault all the time.
Yeah, agreed with that. Yeah.
So
This.
on your skills, like maybe the kind of companies you might want to apply for, if you brush up or on your AI skills or your design thinking skills, then you can portray yourself saying that I am this combination. I can help with the design thinking team better because I can train them, I can coach them. Example.
Okay. Yeah.
So don't be disheartened. It's just a matter of time. It'll happen. I think a lot of us are going through that. There are people who've been idle for a year. There are people who didn't get a job for some time, but they did end up getting job. Some
Okay,
of us
that's
got
good.
job even after a year with 18, 20 plus years of experience also. So don't be disheartened. Wherever
Okay.
industry goes, go talk about just one job for yourself. It'll come. Filter out all this noise, rather than working hard on how can I tweak my resume or how can I play with the data, rather than that, focus on things that can make you attractive for them.
Yeah, I'm trying to like improve the skill set, which will help me once the market will open, or even though from the AI
Yeah,
perspective, I'm trying to upskill myself. So nothing is,
yeah,
means these things are in my hand, which I'm doing right now. So I feel
exactly.
like, yeah.
And I think again, this also has been very, very rampant these days. The ATS score that you have to, follow a template and see where your resume stands. So try those things out. Some of it will work for sure.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Rekha. Yeah.
Thanks.
There was a story in our organization only. So she worked she worked in a BPO for almost 13 to 14 years. She really wanted to switch into the software industry, and she took a sabbatical leave for almost 9 months or 8 months. She struggled a lot. Finally, she got a project into a Scrum Master position. All those work, and I mean, like, the dedication she showed towards the work and resume, right? It was really helpful. What she did was, so we have a flow, right? What happens before pre-sales and what will happen till end of the deployment. For every requirement, we will start with pre-sales. So what will the sales team will do? What are the tools they will use? So she gathered all those information, and she tried to learn about all those 2 to 3 tools in the current market. For every team, they will use different tools for a deployment, CI/CD pipeline, Jenkins, and for requirements gathering, flow diagrams. Like this, she tried to figure out all the tools. She learned about those, and she portrayed in her resume such a way that she had a hands-on experience in all these areas for 13 years of experience. And she finally got a job after 8 to 9 months. But yeah, she didn't give up, and she really worked hard. It is now, as I see, right, most of the organizations are they have kept it in freeze. Quarter 4, most of the hiring also, it will be on lesser number, but you should be prepared by January or February, so that when opportunity knocks, you should be ready for that.
Yeah, I'm feeling that now. Means like it will take little time this year. Maybe market will be open up by Jan or Feb. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Vishali. Hope you get some insights or pointers from the folks.
Yeah.
Okay, what's next? What's the next question? Folks haven't even connected. No questions on the slide. Nothing. Open conversations. Hi, Rajat.
Hi, Satish.
Okay, just now we discussed about Vishali's question. What's next? You can feel free to type in the tool. That way we can have that questions gathered. Even if not, like, because folks, this is an open conversation. No training, no material, no presentation, nothing. This is all for us. More than me, it is all for you. So feel free to bring any questions, anything you want to share, you want to discuss. This is an open forum.
I have a question.
Mhm.
Really understand what coaching,
Rika, your voice is wobble.
is
Yeah,
it?
now? Yeah, now
No, I was
can
saying,
you?
is it possible
Mhm.
to understand it from the recruiters in case we know in our network as to what goes in? Is it like ATS scores? Is it like no, they will, they are asked not to, they are asked to filter out people, or that is not the case? Maybe we are assuming, or they get so many, they have a different way of looking at resumes, maybe. Or is it our right to ask them, like, or a reason or a feedback as to why someone has been, turned down?
Mm. Okay. Okay. I
Any of
have.
you are here,
Mm,
right? If you guys have any exposure with them.
mm. Before that's like, let me add some points from my side. Recently, we shared a couple of opportunities in the WhatsApp groups, our SSAG community, and for QA opportunity, 1800 profiles came.
Oh my God.
1,800 profiles. So that individual reached out to me. He found out my number. He reached out to me. Can you please delete the post? We are still getting the profiles. We don't know what to do.
Oh my God. Yeah, I also failed this when I posted something. I
So
mean, after the deadline, they keep sending. I mean, it is not looked at, but somehow they
no,
hope that it will be looked at.
I mean, the deadline, even that is fine, but the numbers is what the concern is about.
Yeah.
For one of the agile coach position, we got 400 profiles. So
Yeah.
when the numbers are coming up like this, it is literally impossible for any individual, either it is HR or the recruiting manager or anyone, to go through each and every profile.
Agree.
Because of which they are forced to make use of these ATS tools. It is not intentional, it is not willingly, but they are forced to make use of these ATS tools because they don't know what to do with all these profiles. Even if they take 1 minute each profile, that 400 profiles, it will take 400 minutes. That is the reason the first filtering criteria is happening through these ATS tools, even if it is a referral position.
So that's
Referral is not a escape. Referral also is going through this ATS because the volumes, any position, not just this agile coach or QA or scrum master, any position, any organization, both service and product companies, they are facing the same thing.
So this is a reality, not to assume that it will bypass.
No, even the referral, it is going through the same, because I referred few folks recently. When it is refer, it is like I had asked to share the referral link. Once I shared the link, they filled in the details and submitted it, and it went into the ATS tool. And when I had a conversation with the recruiter, they showed me this is how the criteria is going on, or this is how the resume is going through the processing. And now the organizations are stepping up the ATS game. One of the candidate whom I referred, within 20 minutes, he got a rejection email stating that your resume is not matching the job description. Hence, we have to reject your profile.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Satish, I'm facing this challenge. Wherever I'm applying, I'm getting the thank you. We are not considering your resume, like emails within like maybe the 20 or 30 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
because the ATS is fed in with that the keywords from the job description perspective. So
You know,
any
Satish, sorry to interrupt you, but I took the resume service and my resume ATS score is good. But I feel like this is just because of number of years of experience. But I feel they should look into the profile, and it's not like always number more. If means number of years experience is more, so means like we are our salary is too high. It's not like that in the current market situation, and it's also we have some advantages as well. We worked at on-site, offshore. We are having good management skills, and we have done the quality work. So at least we should get the interview calls to listen us what we have done. I'm feeling honestly, I'm feeling like that. So yeah, yeah.
I can totally understand your point, Rishali, but what my experience looking at that ATS tool is like, it is not considering the years, the first initial filtering. It is looking only the keywords. The recruiters, what are the keywords they are giving, they are inputting into the tool for the shortlisting criteria. The tool or tools, what are they using, is looking at the resume using that tool keywords. That's it. Years of experience and everything will come in the next step when the HR or an individual looks at our resume. The tool is not looking at the years of experience or the company names and nothing. It is not looking any of these.
So, Satish, like I have a point here. So, with your response, it is clear that for the each job application, we must need to modify the resume to include those keywords specifically, or can we have a general or like a generic resume that we can use it for the standard purposes?
You can use a generic resume, Rajat. So let me add some points here. What I generally recommend or refer is like take a look at the 12 to 15 job descriptions of our target role. What the job descriptions are listing down the responsibilities or the pointers, right? Out of those, 70 to 80% could be common. Most of the companies, whether it is service or product, any company, right? So most of the 70 to 80% could be common. Look at the way they mention the keywords. The statements, they won't highlight the keywords, unfortunately, so we can't figure it out. But the way they mention the terminology is what it matters. So one of the thing they might mention finance. The other job description they might mention budgeting. Right. So I mean, there could be small differences with the terminologies, but we assume that okay, I have that budgeting experience, so let me mention it as a budget in the resume. But if when we apply the first resume or the first company might be looking for the word finance, right? You got the point. So that is what the small differences might be the thing which you need to take care of it. So once we look at the job description and our resume, we might have to do a little bit of tweaking around these keywords. That's it. No need to change the entire resume, but we need to make sure what the job description we are applying versus what are the resume we are posting or we are publishing is matching. No need to copy paste. No need to copy paste the job description again. That is another common mistake which many folks are doing. If we just copy paste the job description into the resume, again it will get filtered out. No, that's not the case.
No, that's fine. Right. Okay. And the second point is like, I think someone has also mentioned, like a job requires at least 7 to 8 years of experience. However, the role I am applying or having the experience, it is more than 10 to 12 years. So does it really matters that if we can show the number of years as a experience less, so that at least we can click, we can have a look on the job applying?
Ideally, it is not recommended, Rajat. The Rekha and others are also mentioning, right? It is not recommended. But see, at some other point of time, we need to make sure we have to mention the details, especially even in the background check. Once we get joined, selected and joined, we need to mention all these details for the background check also, right? So instead, like mention whatever is the experience we have, and we can go ahead with that. And as I mentioned, the ATS tools are not looking at the years of experience. No, that is not the case. At least the HRs whom I had a conversation with, like different HRs, the tools they are using, they are just looking at the keywords. That's it, not the years of experience, not the past companies details, nothing. It is not even looking at the gaps in the employment. No, even that is not. I mean, the ATS tools is not as of now not yet equipped with these things.
Right. Like in the recent yesterday, even like I have applied one of the job posts for the HCL Noida team for the service delivery SDM there. They've been specifically asking for that the candidate should be using the H lookups and the V lookups, right? They've clearly mentioned in the job description and the LinkedIn questions.
Yeah.
So I think this is a keyword that basically they are looking for, right?
Exactly.
But
If they haven't mentioned in the resume, even if they have the experience, it won't get filtered. I mean, so it will get filtered out.
Right. But actually, this is like very common thing, like H lookups or V lookups. We can't generally like mention into the resume, right? Like this is like very.
I know, I know.
Mhm. Okay.
And maybe to add to all of the discussion around this, uh, one of the reason why the volume of applications is so large is there are people who are just for the sake of applying, they are applying, like like they just want to check the market, or they just want to see where they stand, or they want to just get a random offer and try to negotiate with their current employer. So many such cases are also happening, which is one of the reason why a large volume of applications are being received. And like if you look at it from a recruiter's perspective, they cannot understand who actually needs a job or who is currently in dire need of a change. So that is where it's difficult for them from their perspective
Mhm.
as well to understand uh, difference between these different types of candidates. And because of the volume, it's not possible to talk to them as well. So I think maybe that's another issue that's,
Right.
I think it's rampant in the industry. So
That's my experience as well. Funny, like there is one individual who applied for 18 different positions within my organization.
wow,
Everything is a different role. See,
right.
if it is the same role, a similar role, I can understand. Everything is a different role, like product owner, product manager, project manager, scrum master, agile coach, QA manager, different role, 18 different roles.
Wow.
What will the HR do? Which role they
Exactly.
can shortlist for, even if it gets go through that ATS, right? So, what will the HR do? Unfortunately, it's the same HR. The HR came to me and was like, Satish, what shall I do with this candidate? 18 profiles, the same candidate, 18 different positions. So, shall I schedule 18 different interviews with all the recruiting managers? Right. So, and I mean, everyone has different perspectives. We can't say anything, but yes, we need to focus on what is our target roles, maybe couple of roles we can target, we can focus on, and make sure how we can get benefit out of it.
Correct. Satish,
Yes,
I have some questions related to interviewers. Is the right forum to ask and some clarification?
sure. Yes.
Actually, I attended my interview for the Scrum Master position just and to understand. They're asking how your day starts with so and ends with what the right answer, what the other things you need to explain exactly. So they must be happy and how can we explain that?
Anyone want to take it up?
Yeah, I mean they're asking how your day starts with and ends.
Yes. Yeah, I'm asking other folks.
And I have some couple of
Maybe
questions also.
talk to people in the community, like let's say already seasoned people who are well versed with Scrum. Try to have some conversations with them to try to understand how things are done, or maybe have some mock interviews with them. Like, we have a lot of amazing folks in our community who helps everyone. Like even the session that we are having is also on the similar line. So try to talk to as many people as possible. Try to get some experience and try to have some mock interviews so that you'll be able to position yourself better and be able to give better expected results or answers.
Okay.
See, a lot of people, what they do is they think, okay, my job is only to apply, and it is everyone else's responsibility to review it, to shortlist me. No, that's not the case anymore, right? It's demand versus supply. So now we have to look at it this way. We have to make that effort is to we have to be up in the bubble. We have to bubble up and show ourselves. So what can we do? Really understand. Chances are maybe you worked as a scrum master
Uh-huh.
in your own in your organization, and may not be the ideal way. And likewise, right, even the HR and everyone has gone learned now. They know the nitty-gritties of it. So they're able to make out the fluff. Like you said, this is outside everyone's control. We can't control people applying, and even if they have a job, we can't control that. We have to live with that problem. Now, what remains is really to understand the trend, talk to your friends who are thriving, build that network, and spend time there, your energy there. A lot of people are, the recruiters are doing the simulation part of it. They're trying to understand, does this person really know? So
Mhm.
nowadays, it is like a project only to land a job. One, work on your own resume, work on, and one thing which has helped is what I've seen in the past. With, I mean, wherever I've suggested this, seems like that's worked for them. Is one, you can wherever you have your project, right? Mention little more thing into it. Let's say you work with finance, or you work with cloud. Your cloud based teams, refer to that a bit in your project, like one or two lines there, and then
Mhm.
have a highlight section in your resume, wherein it will talk about your top five uh, qualities or your USP, your unique selling points, which should really bring the highlight as to. So that could be like your keywords, which ATS could land up, grab from there and match. So yes, there is that bit of hard work which we have to put in and understand. It's not that okay, I'm through, somehow I have to crack the interview and that's it. No, gone are those days. It's like a real challenge. People are asking, you should know your stuff. Simple as that. And if you
Mhm.
know your stuff, you're good at it. I don't think even years of experience is a matter.
You are right. Yes.
And coming to your question, Durga, like there is no one single answer for any of these type of questions in agile perspective, right? So my day might start from the afternoon because I'm working with UK teams, right? So if I say that hey, I have a daily stand up at 2 o'clock, the panelists may say, hey, why are you having a daily stand up at 2 o'clock? What is it you do from 9 to 2, right? In other case, like when I was working with US teams, we used to have daily stand up in the evening. So when I mentioned in the interview, why are you having daily stand up in the end of the day? How is it helping you? I was like, that's how our team is, right? So there's no perfect, straightforward answer for any of the agile scenario based questions. It is all what the panelists look at is like, how are you conveying it? They don't even look at like what is it you're doing. It's not to get an idea of what you're doing, but it is like how much we understood the concepts of agile, how much we really have the real-time experience or not, what's going on in our current projects. That's what they just try to assess. That's it.
Means they want to understand how you engage your day in the entire day.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. How sometimes we say that I have my daily stand up at 9 to 9:15. After that, we have a follow up meeting for 9:15 to 9:30. That's it. My day is done. So what is it you do from 9:30 to evening 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock? Right. So these sort of questions is another way of questions they will ask. Apart from your sprint planning and sprint closure day, what is it you do typically the remaining 8 days of the sprint as a scrum master? Right. So we need to bring in that, like we help the team with that backlog refinement. We need to help the team with the other activities. So we need to frame an answer which is relevant from our experience perspective.
I'll give an example, Satish, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah,
So
please.
uh, I've dropped the word stand up because these days I have people working from India, from PST, from as many different zones. So there's no point of standing now. It is
Yes.
you sit. And also that 15 minutes thing is also not relevant these days, because that is the only common time that you're getting. Apart from that, it is a lot of one-to-ones and team meetings and whatever. So it's okay to take it a little beyond your 15 minutes. because you're getting a little more face time only during that window. And another thing between the concept when we learn and the applicability is where you have your flavor to introduce. Like for retrospective, right? You have to have entire team. Now the challenge is, if you have team members working, let's say example PST. Now for PST and India time, you can't expect all of them to be there and work at 9 p.m. your retro. Obviously you can't do that. You can't expect India team to be staying awake. You can't expect PST people to get up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock and join the retro. So what do? Right now this is where you bring in your flavor. Like, okay, maybe we will draw a line. You will take one off, you will do two different things, and you will bridge the communication between the team, or you take offline the inputs from some team, or you delegate that to the leader there and then take those inputs in. So this is where we will are we doing the retro? Yes, we are doing the retro. Are we getting the point? The intent is, what is the intent of that ceremony, right? To get the inputs and have them into your planning. Now whichever way is working. Now leaders say, you know what, do all offline retros. Will that work? Not really. You bring in your understanding of your concept. You try to make the best of things. So the reason for me to elaborate is, I'm just trying to give you the various thought process that you have to play around and then bring into your team and make them work, still make them feel belonged and make them feel, working together. So
So
you can say,
sometimes, yeah,
well,
we can
once
go.
in 6 months, you all please stretch a bit, but I will not ask you to stretch every 2 weeks. Once in a while, we have to draw a line wherein all of you have to be there. So like India team, stay back, and PST people, please get up a little early. Not every time, but once in a while.
Hmm.
Just to quote an example.
Also, sometimes they are asking, as a scrum master, as a project manager, what are the mistakes we have done? This kind of question they asking. What mistake you have done in the projects? So what be the
I mean,
what?
see, one of the reason these kind of questions are generally posed is to really understand your experience. See,
Hmm.
because let's say we might be having novices or people who have been recently introduced to Scrum.
Hmm.
So people who have started working on these things recently might not have a good answer or a solid example for these things. These kind of questions would give the interviewer a perspective into how deep your knowledge is or how deep your
Agile. Okay.
experience is in those things.
Okay.
And and again, it's not just about the mistake we have done. What we learned from that mistake, they look for that
Yes.
also.
The corrective measure.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, see, we ourselves say that inspect and adapt or continuous improvement. So, what is it whenever any such type of question comes, don't just mention, hey, I did this mistake or this is where I went wrong. All of us, we are all humans. All of us might be doing some mistakes or some wrong things or what might something might have not worked.
Okay.
Maybe the retrospective template or the approach, or we might have assumed the story might be completed, but it got spilled over. There could be various such things. Just don't mention that what happened. Mention what corrective measure or what improvement we as an individual or we as a scrum master or we as a project manager brought into the team so that it won't repeat again.
Repeat again. Okay.
That is, see, indirectly they might have asked like what improvement you brought to the team. Instead they will ask for this type of question again. As Funny mentioned, this is to filter out, this is to identify that who is just a theoretical individual versus who has a real-time
Real time
experience.
experience. Okay. Okay.
Right? And again, there is no perfect answer for any of these questions. There is no one
Oh, yeah.
single answer that if we say this, you will get shortlisted. No, it is all from what the panelist is looking for or expecting, how we are conveying that from our perspective.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
They look at aligning the individual to their requirement, their team's requirement.
Exactly.
Yeah, most of the people they have not experience even they do certification. They can show experience as well. They try to understand whether real time experience or not. That's we discuss correctly. Suppose. Okay, I got it.
And
So
saying no
Satish,
mistakes or things going all well is also not a good answer for sure. Because that means have we stopped learning? You know, not doing a mistake is a myth. We all are still learning, fact of the matter. So try to be candid and do that retrospection for you for ourselves as to there could have been few things that we did incorrect and how did we approach, like, we, for example, this forum, right? We don't know a lot of things, and then what are we doing? We are trying to see what can we correct, what is going wrong. This is another exercise only, right? So it's like we do things, we realize, and we network. We try to leverage the 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 best experiences around us. We are connected to the community. We seek help and we provide help also. So we are into that healthy environment is what we can always indicate.
And moreover, as you people said, right, a Scrum Master position is a very easy entry to the corporate. Most of the people I have seen that they don't have a good amount of experience, nor they are from QA background, or they are from a different background, and they wanted to penetrate into the Scrum Master position. So we saw people when we hired different Scrum Masters, right? They were not able to even change the board names, nor they were not able to give access because they don't have a proper administrative access previously. They struggle for that. Then we started asking a practical level layer of questions. Most of the people were not able to answer, like what is your last 3 sprints velocity, how you have calculated, if you move a story point out of the sprint, what will happen to the sprint, whether the velocity will reduce or not. When we started asking these questions, most of the people doesn't even have an answer. So you will get caught. You will get caught when people started asking practical questions to a Scrum Master position. That is
Hmm.
what we started introducing as well.
so my experience is in another way, Satish. Like recently, I have attended one Scrum Master interview. In that, that person have asked me about like if means is sprint get extended, means like instead of 2 weeks, if you are not able to finish the work. I have answered this question in two ways. Like if user stories, means if this is very rare situation, and I have experienced this when I was working for one of the telecom client at US, and that functional those functionalities were very important to deploy before Christmas season. So I explained that scenario. Like in that case, we have extended the sprint for a week, but this is very rare situation. It not happen every time. Means I have given the answer as per my experience, whatever I experienced, but that person was not convinced and he was saying, no, this is impossible and sprints will not get extended. And so it is in other way as well. Even though we have experienced something, we are trying to put in the interview answers. Then also, like some people have their own mindset and they want answers in that fashion.
No, generally sprint not be extended, but you can some of the stories, suppose they're important stories are there, you can spill over to next
Yeah.
sprint. We can do the next window. Immediately window, you can do the migration. Right? So,
Agree.
No, there was a blackout period after that, and they wanted to complete that before
yeah, hi, we
Christmas.
can complete,
Yeah.
but we can spill over the story to the next sprint. We can start when we can do the immediately fix that, and then we can do the migration.
No, some organizations during blackout period they don't work on anything. Some organizations give you 15 days vacation as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, but the
Uh,
fact of
See,
the matter,
the fact
you have
is,
worked, right, for a week. So that could be your ensuing sprint any which ways. You have worked. So either you finish in your cadence, try to pick
No.
only what you can do, or I mean, I'm just giving you the most industry-wide, approach. So if that is so important, you definitely will know the window, the freeze out window. So we should work towards that ahead of time. Pick
Hmm.
them in that sprint, the last sprint, what we have to complete. Sensitize your team. It has to be done. Now, to your point, let's say you needed one more week. So you have worked, right? So that could be part of your next sprint. You
Yes, yes,
rather
yes.
than extending the sprint, you can start the next sprint and you will have like 1 week worth of work in your next sprint rather than you disturb entire logistics around it.
Generally,
No,
no
Yeah,
one
I
makes,
agree with this point. There are two ways, right? Whether either your sprint has been abrupted or either you finish the sprint and take up the stories for the next sprint. There is, I mean, like it is very rare that the sprint has been extended or this kind of questions will generally come up. So you can put it across in two ways. That's if there is something very urgent task or else any high priority task has been come into picture. So, for example, when GST has been implemented, our whole airlines has been implemented. I mean, like affected, and we need to implement that then and there, or else it will be a huge impact to the government. I mean, like we had a deadline from the governments as well. So at that point of time, our sprint has been abrupted, and we stopped whatever we are working on, and we took up a new thing where we had to implement GST for each and every code and for each and every airline, inbound and outbound airlines. So there is no way that that sprint will get extended, right? We will close that sprint and we will take up the new stories, or else we will deprioritize the existing work and we will reprioritize the high priority stories.
I remember these were it means like a dependent story on each other, and there was something related to billing stuff as well. So they wanted to make that change in the same release. So and it happened actually. I worked on that, and overall of my these many years of experience, this thing happened only once. But that's the reason I explain both the scenarios. Like it's very rare and usually it is not recommended. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So generally, interviewer doesn't want to hear those kind of answers. It could have
okay.
happened to your organization or your project, but
Mhm.
maybe we should have tweaked the answer and mentioned that we have closed that particular sprint, even though there were high priority items, and we have started a new sprint then and there and took up, deprioritized the item, some of the items. We have closed and started a new sprint, something like that. And as you mentioned, right? How you will go and prepare for some questions. Okay, these are the answers I have to provide when someone questions, right? Even the interviewer also will come in the same mindset that I will be expecting an answer in this format, or else I will be expecting an answer about this one. He will also come up with some mind, right? Sometimes they will not be able to take an answer what we have mentioned. They will be expecting some different answer, even though the answer which we have provided is correct. They will not be able to take it.
Yeah.
And you know, Vrushali, it looks like this is more of your some fallacy in the organization. Maybe you had little control on that. And even if that's a wrong practice, as a scrum master, we flag it, saying, no, this is not the practice. We should be having another sprint. We cannot extend. Let's take another sprint. Or you
Hmm.
fail that sprint then and there and then say, okay, let's do it. But and this is more relevant for a lot of people who have grown in-house, right? There may be a lot of anti-patterns that are prevalent in their organization, but doesn't mean the outside world works like that. So it's in the interest of their those individuals, they have to network, try and understand, call out their practices and get it validated as to how is it in the industry. Because if you're looking outside, if you're trying to apply, like individuals, the recruiters and everybody else is also going and checking in their network to understand the best practices.
Like Rekha, as you said, Rekha, this is an anti-pattern. But one thing, when I was giving an interview last year, a similar question came to me, like posting a question: have you ever experienced a sprint uncompleted, or have you ever come up with incomplete, like closing of a sprint or canceling a sprint? So I put a simple word telling, as a Scrum Master, I'm the facilitator, but the sprint is owned by the entire Scrum team. So, and it's largely the decision to continue the sprint or cancel the sprint
is with the product owner. So I gave a diplomatic answer that which within the organization policy, I didn't add any organization policy. With the Scrum team decision, we had a meeting. We decided we prioritized our backlog. So few priority items need to be picked up based on the market conditions. So we have just discussed with the product owner and canceled the existing sprint and planned a new sprint. So this is something that I gave and which is aligned to the Scrum guide also. So the recruiter also felt happy because we were aligned with the Scrum guideline.
Exactly, Ashok. Yeah, that's correct one way, right? So, Rushali, before coming to your question, right? Just continue that canceling the sprint. Like even I mentioned the similar way. Like during COVID, like we completed we are in the middle of the sprint. Of course, it's a PA also from the safe perspective. So when we are doing that, all of a sudden the government started giving a guidelines that the credit score of the banking customer should not get impacted even if they don't pay the loans. That's entirely a new requirement which none of the banks have thought about or none of the banks have implemented. So we have to stop everything what we are working and we need to start working on that next the new requirements which government defined as a guidelines, and they gave a specific timeline that before by April 1st or something, you need the customer should not get impacted the credit score, because the lockdown happened towards end of March, and the month beginning April or the month beginning is when the EMIs everything will get processed, right? So that's where the government gave the guidelines, and within that 7 to 8 working days, the whole module we need to scrap whatever the new functionalities we are working upon, and we need to pick it up and we need to start implementing it before the timelines, right? So these type of real-time examples, like as Sai was mentioning a GST implementation, so these real-time examples is what the panelists might be more interested in. And as Ashok was mentioning, the ownership of the sprint lies with the product owner and the team. We are just a facilitators as a scrum master. So we need to clearly call out it is not me or who cancel the sprint or who close the sprint or who start a new sprint. No, it is the whole team responsibility. Everyone should come together and take a decision accordingly.
But mostly who will take the decision, Satish? Mostly PO?
The product owner.
Product
Product owner. Obviously the product owner.
because they own the product, simply put.
Yeah, but no,
We as a
yeah.
we as a scrum master, we might be working only with the team and the product owner, but the product owner is answerable to the business team, right? They're the one who define this is the scope which my team or which our team will deliver by end of this so and so sprint. Now they are the one who should or who will be going back and telling the business, hey, this is what we committed, this is what we promised. However, due to the current context, the team changed their approach or the priorities, and this is what we are planning to deliver. Instead, it might be coming from the business itself. Most of the cases, it's not just the product owner who is taking the decision. The business team might be coming and saying, hey, we know your team committed this, but we want this to be done. Go and talk to the team.
Yeah,
And
Satish, I
yeah,
remember in my project, it happened the same thing. Like, product owner was trying to convince to Scrum Master, and finally, stakeholders come in our meeting. We had a meeting with Scrum Master, product owner, everyone, and then they told us we need this functionality to be delivered on high priority. So,
Exactly.
what? Yeah.
Right. Durga, is it clear?
Yeah, clear. But no, as of now, I never seen the sprint is cancelled. So as per the means, mostly I work in
It
the
depends upon the business. It depends
yeah
upon the business to business, right? See, I generally give an example like this
yeah
telecom from the Indian perspective, right? See, uh, Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, BSNL, we all know like how they work, right? The moment Reliance announced their per second billing, everyone else was forced to change their per minute billing into per second billing. It is not their planned scope of work. It is not their planned priorities or planned business model or business logic. But because Reliance announced that per second billing effective from today, the telecom customers started migrating to Reliance. So how quick, how effective, how soon these competitors take the business, I mean, they change the business logic of per minute billing to per second billing, only then they can survive in the field, right? We can't say that my sprint is locked. I completed my sprint planning yesterday, so you need to wait for 2 weeks to get that new scope of priorities done. No, that's not how it works.
So in this
Right?
case, you can cancel the sprint. You can start the new sprint again.
Exactly, that's it. Because see, whatever you committed yesterday and you complete 2 weeks later, it's of no use. The business will say, hey, you're done. You complete all the 100% of the stories complete, but what's the big deal? We lost our business. We lost our customers.
So in this case, the entire things will spoil, right? So plan all the migration day, everything. So all
Everything will be changed. Everything
so,
will be changed. And
but
it's not just for one team. When we say these type of things, it will be impacting multiple teams across the organization, not
yeah,
just one
then
team or
only
one sprint.
yes, then only easy. Otherwise, other dependency team is there. So how they can it should be impact to other team as well. So that entire
Yes,
organization.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. Everything, right? It's not just for one team or one sprint. We need to understand it. So when these type of questions come, right, we need to indirectly the panelist is trying to understand how much the
Depth and
overall
experience.
business perspective we have.
Hmm. And
And these are the rarest of the rare, you know,
Yes.
like COVID happening, government telling us short notice. These are like very, very rare. But I think the point recruiter wants to know is, do you have that exposure, number one? And if you do not have, what is the kind of call you are going to take? Are you prepared?
Yes.
yeah, just Scrum Master. Okay, so you should have
Like
a
as Vrushali mentioned, like it is one of situation. Like that it might have happened that year. Maybe the next year they might have proactively planned that okay, during the blackout period, we will maybe extend the sprint before itself, or what is the next step? It's a learning from their team perspective.
Yeah, as Satish mentioned, right, it depends upon from business to business. Now, last year, we wanted to give a discount for some of the customers from starting from December 15th. Then they did a survey and they realized that by December 15th, they already went on holidays and they were not able to use that vouchers or whatever the promotional codes. This year, they made they started applying that code from December 1st itself, so that before December 15th itself, they will be able to utilize those. So that is a learning for them, and they re-implemented. They have adjusted everything, making sure that they will start the promotional offers from Q4 beginning only. So those
Exactly.
things
So
happens.
yes, so these are the type of learnings we need to showcase. Especially, I every time mention that if someone say that I have 3 years of experience working with the same Scrum team, so these are the type of experiences or the perspectives the panelists might expect from us. What is that? We as a Scrum Master joined in. Now it is 2024 September, right? Let's suppose I am claiming that I have 3 years of experience as a Scrum Master. I joined this team as a Scrum Master in 2021 September. Now it is 3 years. So what I as a Scrum Master brought the difference or the improvement or the changes for the team between September 2021 till September 2024. Bring in these what do you say, the comparison, or bring in these pointers like what happened in maybe one of the sprint in 2022, what happened in one of the sprint in maybe the release in 2023. So we need to bring in these type of real-time examples, references, which is another way to give the trust to the panelists that yes, this candidate has a real-time experience.
Yes, same way in my organization in December month we're not planning any migration because of the year-end support.
Yeah. So that we need to mention, as Sai mentioned, right? So 2023 December, this is what we experienced as a business. Now for 2024, we started early giving planning the implementation sort of thing. So we need to bring that examples.
Examples, correct, you're right. So not the straight answer. Same thing like we can say December month we are year-ending support, so we are not planning any story for migration. So only for the story, only team can do the development work, and because of the year-ending support, this is how we can plan, so they can understand.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
So Vrishali, coming back to your question or your point, right? So I consider sprint as a day. The day has 24 hours or week has 7 days. Right? So because we as an individual haven't completed our task, can we extend the week or can we extend the hours in the day? No. Even if we extend, it won't give any impact. Right? You got my point? See, the team haven't completed their deliverables for whatever reason. There could be various reasons. So whatever reason, just by extending the sprint, it won't make any difference. Because if we say the team is either spillover of the stories or extending the sprint, more or less is the same. I'm just giving a different perspective there. I got your point, but I'm just giving a different perspective. Right? So if that is the case, so sometimes we might get a question, hey, the team haven't completed the story. So the business is coming and asking us to extend the sprint. Extending the sprint will not make any impact. Reason, if we have the delivery, the release planned on October 1st, for example, just by extending the sprint, it won't do any difference because anyways, the release also is getting impacted if we don't complete that stories. And these such type of things are already aware, already planned that sprint completes by 28th September, release should happen on 1st October. All these things will be planned, will be defined well ahead, and everyone within the organization should be aware of these timelines. Right? So as others mentioned, just extending the sprint will not help in any way. Instead, it will impact the metrics or the other aspects. Instead, whatever it is, let's close the sprint, complete the sprint, and continue the next remaining stories into the next sprint. If it is like the short sprint or whatever it is, only 1 week, create a short sprint and get it done. That's it. Right? And this is for overall generic perspective, not for your context, Vishali. I'm just telling from the overall
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Satish, in this case, is it required to create short sprint? Otherwise, you can do for the 2 week sprint. You can go for the next window migration, only specific story, right? Some important story. Story and then we can do migration. Not required to.
Yeah.
That way also you can do, right?
I mean, Vishali's context is like it is like a Christmas week. So out of 2 weeks, only 1 week the team will be there. The other week they will be on a vacation.
Okay,
It's a planned vacation from the organization.
But generally, I'm talking about generally in this case, we can do the 2 week sprint and next window we can do the migration. Some important fix you can do the go for migration, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, you can
Saki.
keep cadence as constant and mention that it's going to be a lean sprint owing to those reasons.
Sakir, over to you. Sakir, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. And thank you, Satish, for giving me this opportunity to speak. So though I joined late, but what I heard that there is a situation where we need to extend the sprint. So I wanted to add that in my project, what we follow that we already create iterations for the entire year, right? Like iteration 1, 2, 3. So they are already planned. So for example, if my iteration is for 2 weeks and it starts from Wednesday and it ends on Tuesday, right? So there is no use to extend like from Tuesday to Friday or 1 more week because we have already planned our iteration next iteration, right? So if my user story is in the situation of potential spillover, so instead of extending my sprint, I will follow my next sprint, which is already planned, and I will move those incomplete user story to my next sprint instead of extending the sprint. They are already planned. So this approach we follow.
Thanks, Sakesh. Yes, that is another thing. So most of the cases, the sprints might be already created or already scheduled in the tool. So rather than doing it, like we can continue or carry forward the remaining stories into the next sprint. That's another approach. Yes. There is a question in the chat. Okay, yeah. I'm good with that. We can discuss. Okay. Any other questions? Any other things? Nice discussion going on.
So I have another question if no one is having right now. So like if we are close to end the current sprint, like 2 days are remaining and there are lots of defects are open. So as a Scrum Master, like how can we handle this situation?
Do you also want to call out what has been your approach, and then people can add?
Yeah, like means I answered in this way, like we need to prioritize the work and we need to means like if there are 5 stories considered and 3 are closed, so if we have 2 remaining stories for which there are defects open, then high priority defects or functionality we need to work on. And like if very very look and feel kind of low priority issues are open, those can be like carried over to the next sprint. um, yeah, in this way. But like if anyone have any other thought on this, like
See, here in such cases, right? Again, we'll go back to concept and then explain. So the concept will come handy to the Scrum Master, and then you start explaining from that concept to the team. As in, when you committed to a sprint, that means you have stack ranked, you have prioritized with the team collectively, and you've picked up things. But defects are something which, to stay in business, we have to solve them on priority. So, a couple of ways based on your historical data, do we set up some capacity in the team to cater to these urgent needs? Number one. Number two, let's say, despite that, some unforeseen has come, and this is where you will talk about the negotiation. You will talk with your in the team. Do we have capacity to absorb this, or does it mean few items will be incomplete towards the end of the sprint? What is the negotiation that we want? Right? So this will resolve your challenge. You will be able to handle it and also explain it to the team why it's important to handle the defect on priority. End of the day, we are doing things to be in business, help business be in business, right? Give them that competitive advantage. So this is where our core four from the manifesto, right? So we have this negotiation over your contract as to, yeah, we agreed to this, with that we have committed to this many items, but this is on priority. So now you tell us. You could go to your engineering leads to understand the impact. You could go to your PO to understand the impact and then take a call. Is it so important, and what it means for the team? What is it that we are going to drop? Feel free to add in, guys.
So when you say defects, what defects do those are? Where are the defects coming from, Vishal?
yeah, exactly. I have asked the question like if how many stories are part of that sprint, and like I'm just taking or picking up my own example and explaining in this way. Like if 3 stories are completed, these defects are relevant to another 2 stories. So yeah, from that perspective, I have explained. I asked the interviewer, like, could you please give me the scenario, or like all the stories have open defects, or some of them are completed. So he was like, you explain it in your own way. So I took in this way. Yeah.
Yeah. So this goes back to the definition of done. If we start connecting the dots, so what is that our definition of done? Say, if the defect is related to that story which you are working on the respective sprint, and if the defect needs to be fixed to get that story considered as done, yes, that becomes a priority. Right? Again, why? Because if we skip or miss or ignore the defects, we can't call it story as done. And the focus of the sprint is, of course, to complete all the stories, but it won't be the working software with the having open active defects. So that brings back the priority or reprioritization by having a conversation with the product owner and the engineering leads and the team. There is one perspective. The other perspective is why these many defects are coming up. What's the reason? How we as a Scrum Master can help the team to improve the code quality. There is another aspect coming up indirectly in that question.
And sorry to differ here a bit. The thing is, um, Satish, things that you're working in the same sprint, if the story is not closed, that's not even a defect, right? That
Oh,
is still a
yes.
fact because
Hmm.
until you close the story, but until then, your QA, your developer, they're all working concertedly to ensure that this is going out in a with quality proven your quotient, your standard. So if you
No. I mean, there are few teams. There are few teams whom I came across. They say that no, we committed only the stories, not the defect fixes. So we'll push the defects to the next sprint.
this is where the education comes, like right.
Exactly. Exactly.
But Scrum Master has to educate them that, guys, historically in Waterfall, QA was running against the developer. Now, both of you are running towards the end goal together. It's your together, your goal as to how quick you can deliver things together in a bug free, like defect free item in production. So, gone are those. This is where, guys, you will introduce your flavor, and when people ask as to what have you done in 2 years and 3 years of time, right? These are all the things we work with the team. And it helps to network with people. None of us are as smart as all of us together are. And it's
So
not possible to have all these scenarios with one team or one org. That's why we should also network.
yeah, so Rekha, I answered in this way. Like, we are a cross-functional team, and we kept some hours for like this defect fixing or refactoring also, or spikes also included in our sometimes in our sprint. So whoever is working on the spikes or other refactoring, code refactoring, first means we will first check the code quality, and every sprint we do that. Means developer check the code quality, unit testing results they share with the QA, and then they can declare this store means user story is ready for testing. So after means doing everything, so still we are facing lot of getting lot of defects. Then obviously, as a cross functional team, other developers can also help, or QA also help to complete the work. And as a team, we have to make sure we are completing these means like whatever stories we have committed for this sprint. We need to make sure that we all together able to deliver that at the end of the sprint.
Yeah, and it helps, to just call out what you have been doing and what is the situation at your place. Like you mentioned, I'm hoping that for you, development and QA is not all part of the same sprint. They're not going together for any one item. Maybe there's a different department for QA, and orgs are evolving around it. So you can in such cases, if you're networking with people, you will understand what is the recommended working best practice in the industry where you also will strive to get at. And your current place is to, you have this situation and you work like this, but you can try to bring it well with your understanding that you bring to the organization. Then you start talking to your leadership saying that, okay, can we change this bit by bit? So first relate your own experience, because the confidence in relating your experience will be very evident. Everyone can make out. So this is another good area wherein you can compare as to, for all these situations, what all you have done as a Scrum Master and how is the industry doing around you. Like today, this is a very good thing that you're doing. This is making everyone else also learn the different scenarios that orgs have. Did I make sense?
Yeah. Great on that.
Yeah, I have a question. So actually, what happened nowadays? So they are asking like many tons of skills in the resume, like the one who has experience in this, experience in that, and they also having experience in, let's say I'm a Java full stack developer. So wherever I'm giving an interview, so what they are expecting from me, so one who knows the front end skills, and front end with latest tech skills, and then back end with latest tech skill. Plus, they want someone who having experience on DevOps, having experience in Scrum Master, having experience in Linux administration, having experience in management skills. So, lot many things they are asking, and like they want someone who builds a robot for them. But actual when we onboarded to that project, they are not using such skills. They are using whatever others are using. So what we have to do in that kind of scenarios? Hello,
Yeah,
am I
I
audible?
think yes,
Yes,
you
yes,
are
yes.
audible. See,
Yeah,
first
yeah.
thing that struck my mind is the job description outdated? Because
No,
whatever they're mentioning is not getting used, implemented.
no,
Or
no,
are
not.
they are really looking at some guy who really had these experiences, who worked on, so that something goes wrong, the scrum master might be the backup personality to do some activities? Is it that they are looking through?
Mhm. So like yeah, so I'm not sure about like why they are mentioning these many skills as well. Uh, so this is what like not now, but last 1 year back, I just given an interview. Literally, they have asked me the question from the Scrum Master as well, like how you've defined your velocity, how your velocity will be calculated, like whatever the question that were mentioned. So I also face like one or two questions in the same. Although I'm not from the Scrum Master background, but they asked me the DevOps question as well, like how you
Okay.
are maintaining your pipeline, how you build your pipeline, how your
Mhm.
pipeline scripts can be maintained, can be declared. And they were also asking the Linux commands. What you will do if you will face this? How you take the backup? So such kind of question they are asking. Not in depth, not in depth, but yes, they want someone who knows that kind of.
Yeah, that's what awareness. I think the environment awareness that is needed, so that the scrum master can, as I said, no, like a known person. If someone tries to bluff in the sprint, telling that this takes entire sprint to be developed, then when you are aware with the context, you can cross question in your story planning as well as capacities evaluation, that why this is going to take this much amount of time, as it takes only some effort to be done, right? At least a typical scrum master who doesn't have any technical hands on, if they say it takes a sprint for me to develop even for a simple task,
Mhm.
there might be a chance that we may accept it, because we don't have the confidence in technology to cross question. But when you have the technical expertise, obviously certain questions will come. Why do you think it takes entire sprint? What is the approach you are taking? What others are thinking? So that questions might at least give them in first hand to uh, what to say, reduce the efforts.
Okay. Okay. Because what happened, like some of my friends, they are developers, but they are doing a Scrum Master role as well. They are taking a stand-up Scrum calls. They are taking retrospective. So all whatever the Scrum Master is doing, they are doing by their own. So I'm not sure.
And
That
I
is
How
just
agree.
that-
the that is just the facilitation of the events.
Correct. Correct.
Assuming that doing that alone is a Scrum Master job is the biggest myth.
I agree with Satish, and we had this scenario in one of our organization when there is a Scrum Master who left due to some emergency the job. So they promoted the tech lead as a Scrum Master, and they thought he will manage, and they give an engineer replacement. But unfortunately, the team performance started degrading because the tech lead started asking multiple questions for everything. He haven't played the role of a Scrum Master fully, but he was still in the role of a tech lead. When it comes to capacity, velocity, or looking at the team wellness, it failed because he was not having that ability. I think someone was calling out, no, like they don't know how to change the board names, they don't know how to give permissions, they don't know how to onboard an new joining into the group, they don't know how to facilitate the real retrospectives. What are the action items to pull out and implement in the next sprint? And also, there was one thing one was asking to me: when the developers get tired on sprint by sprint, that you are making them to continuously work. That was one question I got in my interview. So this is relevant to this. So I said, as a seasoned Scrum Master, I ensured that my team is always rejoiced, refreshed, and focused on their work. So how? So that's where the fun retrospective comes in, right? Not always the retrospective is a serious act. We come, we spend some time, we talk other than work, we have some coffee connects, so we have some one-to-one sessions, we discuss, we identify the pain points, we try to address them. Not all will be addressed all the time. That I also said the same. You give me 10 pain points, I cannot facilitate, I cannot address all the 10, but at least couple or triple, which may be common among the team, that we will try to reduce. So this is somehow I gave the difference between, say, real Scrum Master or whether one who is acting as a Scrum Master.
Yeah, same thing happened to me, Satish. Actually, I was working the project almost 1.5 years. For the some of the requirement, I moved to different team for 2 months. And other delivery manager, he handled as a Scrum Master, not delivery lead. He acted as a 2 months for the Scrum Master role, but a lot of issues happened. Again, I came back to the same teams. So everyone, the POs ask again, no, again, you need as a real Scrum Master. So they're not able to do proper planning, sprint planning, retrospective meeting, just for the time they handle. But team, a lot of people, they need a real Scrum Master. So timing, handling a Scrum Master, real Scrum Master, there's a lot of difference.
Yeah, correct. Got it.
Sakir?
Yes, Satish. So I wanted to add like why there are so many skill sets are asked during the interview for the Scrum Master. I wanted to share an example why it is happening. So what I observed that when we join as a Scrum Master, right? So we start playing our role. But after a few years, like 1 or 2 years, right, we start doing so many other things. People will start dragging you into other projects also, other initiatives also, right? And you will attend other meetings related to any kind of difficult situations like DevOps or release, right? Release to production kind of meetings or initiative. So now expectation has been built up that okay, Scrum Master should be aware about these things also. Now, when there is a requirement of another role of a Scrum Master, I mean, I'm talking about the requisition. So when we raise the requisition for another Scrum Master role, then HR asked that could you define the description and the requirements, right, and the skill sets. So then managers start thinking that what I need in that person as a Scrum Master to do other things also. So they start noting down that he should be aware about these things also, he should be aware about that thing also, so that our task or our work will become easy, right? So at that time they mention each and everything, and then they gave this to recruiter that please search this kind of skill set so that I will get all in one person, right? And then it goes to hiring. And when the person appears for interview, then we expect from him that whether he has this kind of skill sets or not. So this kind of things I observed recently when I was involved in a project for hiring. That's what I wanted to share only.
Thanks, Akhil. Okay, what's next?
Yeah, one more question. So I just wanted to ask, like, what I should do when the product owner comes in the middle of the sprint and he or she asks to add more stories because of some priority. So what I should have to do in that case? Or is it allowed to add any stories in the middle of the sprint?
So we should educate the PO first, and educate the PO as in, uh, probably you'll have to have your one-on-ones with them and help them understand as to why it's important to have it at it's hardly 2 weeks, 1 week, or 3 weeks sprint that anyone has. And they should be giving us the prioritized list. They should be handling the things in the refinement. And so on and so forth, you will be having your coaching sessions with your PO. And that in itself will educate, and then he will be able to make informed decisions as to, okay, what should I do? Because they might also be, from the historical background. So this education and coaching conversations will help to connect with your POs. And second thing, can we add an item mid sprint or not? We can limit that to maybe like one item or maybe 10% of it, or only to understand what is the benefit of it and why do we want to do that, and explain. And again, the negotiation comes into play as to what will it mean, because PO will not get all the items that have been committed. Now, what is it that he is ready to lose if he wants anything else to come into the play? So here the example will be like, imagine the boat is in the middle of the river. You have taken few things to transport from one shore to another. Now, how is it to add few things to that boat and remove few things from that boat when it is midway? Give them that scenario.
But
And
Rekha, in this case, suppose if it's a business change that they want to add, in that case, there is a chances. Suppose we have a 2 week sprint, right? So we have only 3 days left, 3 days over, remaining 7 days are there. In this case, we can discuss with the team and how much we have bandwidth. We can remove. We can discuss with the PO and remove some of the existing story that is not important. And really, suppose with the business want to be implement for this sprint. This case we can add, right? We can add and we can remove, and we can discuss with the team member how much they have bandwidth. Accordingly, you can add it, right? Also.
No,
yes,
actually,
Exactly.
before you add it or before you remove it, first thing one we need to understand is there is a concept called definition of ready for any story to be added into the sprint. If the story is meeting definition of ready, and if it is really critical, as we had discussed earlier, Satish was calling out some scenarios, right, in telecom and during COVID in financial sector. If that is really an amendment that needs to be done, especially for European projects, we will have these few regulations getting changed on the fly. So we get an amendment on Thursday, and that needs to be implemented by next Thursday, something like that. If that really has a very critical business impact, we can pick it up on like what Rekha said, on what is the cost of losing your benefit. So which is better, which way you are going to negotiate. If you are able to de-scope couple of stories for this priority one, and if the customer is also okay with that, yes, two high priority items, I'm okay to negotiate for one this critical item, then we can pick it up. But that should have meet the definition of done ready.
Yeah,
Because
correct.
if there is dependencies, you add it into the sprint, you are never going to complete it. It again it again firebacks to us. Why did we add it in the sprint when you are not clear with the requirements or when the dependencies are not clearly addressed? So that is one thing as a scrum master we need to check, is the story meeting definition of ready. Then it is over to the team and product owner how they pick that up in the sprint, which they will want to remove. But we should ensure our gate that definition of ready is done, is meeting or not. That's what I can recommend.
Yeah, that is true, sir. Yeah, if once you get the requirements, if you're not ready for the development, it can take time to understanding, do the refinement session. It again it take time. You're right. It should be definition ready, then only can able to add this. Right.
And this is another great opportunity where the Scrum Master can bring their flavor. Let's say they're working on such UK projects, and you know that it's a recurring thing. Things can come at short notice. What can you do? You can, at the planning itself, shield somebody or some capacity, saying that okay, something might come, and few things ready with your DOR met in the backlog, saying that okay, if something like this comes, we will be ready to cater to this and resolve without impacting entire sprint deliverable. And if nothing is coming by so and so date, we will be picking something from the backlog and completing. And we can limit it to, let's say, 10% or someone's capacity of 10% of one person in the team. So that it all depends on the kind of team and project you're working and what patterns are you seeing.
Yeah,
I,
I also wanted to.
Actually what happened in my case. So the same that you have mentioned, I discussed with the product owner as well, and product owner mentioned that it is not something it is directly came from the business. And the same point I raised to my manager as well, because it comes from the business. No one wants to drag it down. So everyone wants to get it away from our door. And this is not this is now what happened. This is being practiced now. Earlier it is fine, but now almost like 2 or 3 sprint it is being happening like alternative sprint. They are adding, because what happened in the initial start of the sprint, they are adding a very limited stories, right? And then later in the middle of the sprint, they are like, what if I taken an example? So at the initial sprint, they are committed around 20 pointers of velocity, right? And then the middle of a sprint, they keeps adding the stories in the sprint. And then at the end of sprint, the count of that pointer is around 42 and 43, something. So it is being practiced now. So
And
how that can be like handled, and to whom that point can be raised? Because everyone is being following to the business. Like what business is saying that we have to do like that on.
but
I wanted to add
initially it
So
should
something.
be
I
reached
have
to
a
product owner, right? It should be initially discussed with product owner, right? Before you bring it into the sprint, the business, whatever is the product owner who's discussing with them, right? Why the product owner is accepting the sprint with stories which are not important? Like there is
That's
some gap between business and product owner in identifying the critical or sprint related requirements. That is clearly articulating, right? 3 sprints, if he's coming up with new requirements, means we have to definitely sit with the product owner and in one of the review call or demo call with the customer and ask them that last time you made these changes, this time we are starting with this sprint. Are you okay with these items? At least that is something that we may need to pull out, because all the time you are changing the stories that you are planning in the sprint. Obviously the confidence of the team will demoral, because they will start analyzing which is important. We don't know which one to pick up. Today you say this is important, tomorrow you say the other one is important, day after tomorrow you say both are important including this. How do you want us to deliver? That question will again circle back to us. So we as collectively we need to sit with product owner, like a calling out, no, we need to have one-on-one calls with people whenever this is happening in couple of sprints or 3 sprints. We need to sit with the PU, ask him, hey, what is happening at the business end? Are they clear with the requirements? Are they clear with the scoping part? If something is gap bridging out, do you need any help? That we need to pitch in and discuss with the business, and then we can go ahead. That's what I feel.
And I also want to add here that this is very common situation, and this is very common questions which are asked during the interview. And we do prepare for this kind of questions. And what I learned that there are 3 key words which we have to include in our interview, which will create an impact. And those 3 words are sprint goal, prioritization, and trade-off. So before starting the sprint, we do sprint planning where we decide what items we are going to pick in this sprint and how we are going to do it and what would be our sprint goal. Now,
What
where
is what is
product
the third
owner
one?
will give
What is the third one? Third one?
in the middle of the sprint, if we get another story, first we need to identify and do the analysis whether it is impacting our sprint goal or not. If it is impacting, then we'll clearly mention to the product owner that this is going to impact our goal. We will not be able to meet our sprint goal. Now, product owner will define, right? But because this is very important, we got this from business. Then we will check, okay, what is the priorities? Then if he mentioned that it's a high priority and we have to do it, then the 3 word will play here. That is trade-off. So now we will do trade-off with the product owner that, okay, we are okay to take this as a high priority, but what we can move to the next sprint as a lower priorities. So now product owner will define the priorities again. And based on that, we will move the lower priority to the next sprint or backlog, and then we will go with the high priority. So this kind of approach we do follow.
So to add on, right? So we need to understand a couple of things here. So the business here, it seems to be not the product owner, but the business is the what to say, they have the gap or in the understanding of the implementation, what needs to be done when. So it might not be just coaching the product owner, but might have to talk to the business owners or business folks as well. What's impacting them? What's making them delayed to give the scope or give the priorities until middle of the sprint? Right. So there might be multiple things which we may have to handle here. So as a Scrum Master, if in case we feel it might not be our cup of tea or we might not be able to handle, we check for like maybe Agile coach or someone who can have this conversation and see how we can take it up further. Right. So make sure your business folks understand or business folks are aware of your sprint timelines or the sprint schedule and what's the impact the team is going through because of these scope changes or the new scope coming into the context in the middle of the sprint. And if in case it is specific to a release, let's suppose if it is a quarterly release. So if not this sprint, maybe it might be okay even if we take it up in the next sprint. So by considering the release timelines and where are we in the release, where are we in the implementation aspect, we might have to negotiate or as Sakir was mentioning just now, the trade-off. If we are taking up this new scope, what is it we are taking out of the sprint? And it's not just matching or mapping that like 5 story points new scope come, 5 story points of current scope moving out. No, it's not 1:1 mapping because we are already made of the sprint. We already have that the team already spent their time and effort, and taking up any new scope or any changes in the middle of the sprint, it should be less than the committed scope any point of time. Right? Then to add on, we came across similar situation in one of the aspect when we starting a brand new implementation. It's an entirely new project. None of the folks are aware what needs to be done, why we are doing it, or when we are doing it. So that's where we face similar type of challenge. So what we mentioned is like instead of Scrum, is it okay if we follow Kanban way of working? It's a new implementation. Instead of making the team go through that sprint planning for 2-3 hours, then after 2-3 days saying that, hey, no, this is not the scope, this is the new scope, we proposed having a Kanban way of working. What does it mean? Whatever is the scope we know till now, let's refine it. Let's get that scope ready and prioritize it in the backlog. Let the team start working on it. If in case any new scope of story comes up, let the product owner and business team refine it and keep it, making sure it is meeting the definition of ready. Have a half an hour or 1 hour conversation with the team and pass on the folks, now this is the new scope. These are new set of stories as per the new priorities. Let the team continue working on that. So this way, we set the clear context to the business folks saying that, hey, don't expect the velocity, don't expect the burn-on charge, don't expect any other metrics, because you are the ones who are keep on changing the scope. If you say that the team still need to follow the sprint, it don't work in this way.
And like he said, it's happening for 3 sprints. Then maybe, let's say they say that is the nature of the business. It is, it keeps coming. And in that case, change it to Kanban. Maybe some of it, whatever you have defined goals, that can be practicing Scrum, and things which are like very dynamic, no control over it. Then let it be a Kanban. You keep adding things and it keeps moving. You can go.
And one of the reason why it is happening for the 3 sprints or 4 sprints, because we allowed that in the first sprint.
Yeah. And
Might have felt, oh, okay, yes, team is ready to accommodate the scope. Let's keep on doing it. So the
yeah,
setting clear context also is really important.
important. And if they say, no, this is what it's going to be, and leadership knows and everything, then as a Scrum Master, you can always go back and recommend saying that maybe Scrum is not the way of working. This framework is not for you or for this kind of project. Get on to Kanban. And whatever is defined, we can do Scrum for that. You split it out, or you can suggest things basis that.
So RG, another question, like every time the sprint changes come after 2-3 days of the sprint or throughout the sprint?
No, I think it's come usually in like 3-4 days, like 4 to 5 days.
3-4
after.
days. Okay.
Yeah. And
So
we have
another
actually
approach. Mhm. Yeah, go ahead.
actually we have 2 weeks of sprint, and we have a release production release every week.
Okay.
So that's why they are mentioning, like, if that whatever the change that they have added in the middle of sprint, if that change doesn't go this week, then maybe it will go in next week. So that's why they keep changing their priorities.
Okay. So couple of pointers now with this new information. You are doing a weekly release
Yeah.
and the scope changes are coming up 2-3 days after the sprint. So
Yes.
what if you change it to 1 week sprint? What if you change the sprint start date? Give a thought.
Okay.
Right. See,
So
if you know that every time the scope changes are coming up after 2-3 days of the sprint starting, why don't you change the sprint itself? If it is feasible, if it is allowed, if it is relevant from other teams' perspective as well. It's not just your own team, right? So you have other dependent teams also. So
Yeah.
just make sure like it is thoroughly discussed, understood what could be the impact if we change of either the sprint schedule from 2 weeks to 1 week or the change of the sprint start date. If it is feasible, relevant, you can propose these aspects.
Actually, we can't change that one because there are other teams. They also start the sprint on the same day. Like 4 or 5 teams are there, and like each team has to start the sprint on the same day and close the sprint on the same day itself. So
Okay, so if that is ruled out,
yeah.
figure out if in case, as we discussed just now, how about moving into Kanban way of working for your team? Or is it impacting the other teams also?
No, that doesn't, because
Only your team?
Yeah, for my team.
Then you can figure out if in case your team alone can move into Kanban way of working. You can see when you say Kanban, it's not like entirely open thing. You can still follow the 2 weeks. You can still generate that cycle time, control chart, and everything. You can still showcase it. What is it your team achieved within that 2 week timeline, irrespective whether you follow the sprint, Scrum or not.
Yeah, that I can actually discuss.
Yes,
with my
because
product owner.
if it is impacting every time, right? So the team morale or the team satisfaction will go down.
Exactly. Yeah.
I myself raised that question to my coach. Hey, if the business is bringing up the scope changes every now and then, why are we wasting our time? I am the one who asked that question. I'm a team member that time. I asked that question. Hey, why are we wasting our time spending 2-3 hours sprint planning when we know that every time the scope change is coming up after 2-3 days of the sprint start?
Yeah. Actually, actually, I'm not the Scrum Master. So I'm a part of that team. So I'm a developer. So basically, this has been happened thoroughly, and I was facing because I'm a developer, as you mentioned, right? So I'm a team. So I'm facing such because I started working on one of the story, and then suddenly something comes up. So that's why it's really difficult for me to adjust one after another. So like started one thing and then have to stop that story and then started working on another story. So in that way, it is very difficult for me to adjust the things.
You can
So that's why
propose it.
I
If
raised
not
this
you have the
question.
access, you can propose it. Yes.
Yeah, because I have asked this question, so I just raised this concern to my Scrum Master. So maybe like I raised already this type of question, but whatever the suggestion that you guys have given to me, that is really helpful for me, and I can confidently ask these question to my Scrum Master, and even I can set up a meeting with my PO as well. So let's see like how these things can be taken forward.
In this case, maybe your Scrum Master might need that coaching because if in case he is not proposing or he is not handling the things.
Correct. And this is like first-hand information how a developer is frustrated.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
raised
I was
same kind
telling
of
my example, right?
I was raising these many questions couple of times because what happened if it is coming from business, like no one speak out. But if it is coming from business, even I talk to my leadership team as well. But they also mention if it is coming from business, then we can't do anything because they keep
Hi,
the business
did-
on the top.
in retro?
Not in retro. I raised these questions in retro itself, but no action was taken on it. Then I personally talked with my leadership team one on one. So they also mentioned like it is coming from the business, so we can't do anything because business is on our top priority. So,
Like
anyways, I will
what a Scrum Master needs better coaching.
exactly. But anyways, thank you for your suggestion. It is really helpful for me for this time and me like in future as well. Like whenever I face these such questions in my interview, as I already told, I earlier also faced
But
like
one question,
questions.
before you reach it to your leadership team, is it called out in retros that frequently the requirements are getting changed?
Yeah, it has been already called. Like not my teammates also as well. They are raising this concern in the retro as well.
Okay, then
They
what was
just
your Scrum
mentioned that
Master PO's response for that?
yeah, they just added action point over there, and they just mentioned he just mentioned the action point, and then he said like yeah we will try to improve our planning going forward, and even it is like Scrum Master is also saying this is something which like he has also explained few things to our product owner. The problem is from product owner side.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has already explained couple of times so many things to product owner. We cannot take this in middle of sprint. We have already planned the sprint. Our velocity will be going down if you take something in between. So it may impact our velocity. So something he has already mentioned to product owner as well. But yeah, like he mentioned like he has
Yeah,
checked.
Vimal has a point. Needs coaching at different levels. SM needs support from leadership. This is possible only by educating leadership team too. Looks like you're organized enterprise agile coach. That's correct, Vimal. That's correct, Archie. So it's not just the scrum master or the product owner. Your business team also needs some uh, coaching or setting the context of what happens in the agile way of working, and especially when your context of 5-6 streams have to go together in starting the sprint and same day and closing the sprint on same day. There need to be some sort of like what to say uh, I forgot that word. Some sort of like balancing needs to come out, or some sort of more clarity in understanding the scope or defining the priorities from the business side is really important.
agree.
Okay. Any other questions? Any other points? Okay, it's 12 o'clock. So, um, there is a regional Scrum gathering Hyderabad happening on 15th and 16th November. So if in case any of you are interested, any of you are looking to register, this 30th September, the early bird registration is closing. So make sure you register before that and you can get the benefit out of it. And there are like 7 to 8 certified Scrum trainers from different locations are attending this. They are the speakers, they are presenting the topics, and it's also a good networking opportunity for Hyderabad folks to get benefit out of it. So feel free, if in case you are interested to register for that, I can share that link for the registration, or you can directly go for RSG Hyderabad 2024 and you can register on your own as well. And another thing, like we are planning a in-person event in the month of November, maybe 1 week before. That is from Atlassian Hyderabad chapter. We are ready to finalize the logistics. Once it is finalized, we will share it the group. Again, this is for Hyderabad specific location. The other locations also, they are doing the Atlassian events, in-person events and virtual events. We'll share with the group members those event details so that you can get benefit out of those events as well. And just to mention, all the Atlassian events are free of cost to attend, either it is virtual or in person. Okay. Yes. Any other things before we wrap up? And the feedback for the session?
Yeah, Satish, it was really wonderful discussion. So these kind of discussions obviously will help for to crack the interviews, whatever scenarios or situations we have not gone through. So thank you so much for conducting it. Yeah.
Definitely. And again, just not for the interview, like overall implementation perspective as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
These discussions always triggers a different thought process when you are dealing really on the ground, the Scrum teams. Different perspectives really help.
Exactly. Thanks, Vimal. Others? Nice discussion. Thank you very much, Sriramlu. Thanks for that. Anyone attended first time this Lean Coffee Connect? I want to share your experience.
Hi Satish, this is my first session I'm attending. Like I came across, I listen so many situations everyone is facing in the industry, and it's good to know how to overcome all those things. And thanks everyone for the session, and thanks for sharing all your thoughts.
Thanks, Vinita. Glad
So
to know that
actually,
you got some benefit of this session. Yes.
Actually, I went through a couple of recordings, Satish, which I could not able to participate. This is the first time I'm participating directly. Maybe I joined late, but when I saw the questions, it's more or less same kind of situations with a different context being, um, I mean, being coming up in every organization, more or less the same.
Exactly.
But the way we address is depends on the maturity that we are gaining over a period of time. But really, I love this. Yeah, different perspectives. Yeah.
Thanks, Vimal. And we will share the recording, YouTube recording, so that you can go through that in case any of you missed or joined late. And
so how do we come to know that recording? Thanks all, I joined late due to some other personal work.
Manohar, I will share the recording on the WhatsApp groups and on the registered email address also.
Oh, that's great. Thanks. Sorry, I missed that.
And on the playlist, you can go to the previous recordings if in case you haven't got a chance to attend any of it.
This is the very first time I'm attending, so
Sure.
I just really missed. I'm sorry for that, and we'll go through that, and definitely we'll have that feedback for you.
Sure thing. No need to be sorry. Like we can totally understand. It is an open conversation, so nothing to worry about it.
Yeah,
we can go to the
means a lot.
recording.
That
You
open
can get it.
conversations itself means a lot for us. Like that should be with different views and different perspectives and experiences, right? Yep. Thanks for that. Sure.
Definitely. And the last week, I did 2 sessions, one for PMI on the measure your progress using OKRs, and the other for regional Scrum Gathering in Hyderabad, leader as a coach. Both the session recordings are out. I will share those recordings as well. If in case you haven't got a chance to attend it, you can go through those recordings as well.
Sure. Yeah, PMI, more or less, we are interested basically. Yeah, that would be very helpful. Satish, yeah.
Sure. Thanks. Okay. Yes. Anything else before we wrap up? Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Happy
Bye.
weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you, Satish. Thank you all. It was really
Thank
nice
you all.
talking to
Thank
you
you,
all.
Satish.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Satish.
Bye.